Hello students, welcome to this video tutorial on divisibility rules. Okay, so you notice that my sheet is a little bit different from yours. As I work through these problems, I want you to describe the rule in your own words. It's very important that you have a calculator. You can see here on the right hand side, I've got my calculator ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to work from three examples here: 282, 2,244, and 11,115. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to see if these numbers are divisible by these numbers: 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. Okay, all right, so let's start with the divisibility rule of 2. So in order to determine whether a number is divisible by 2, we look at the ones column. So I'm going to look at the ones column here, and I'm going to highlight this ones column and this ones column. And all you need to ask yourself is it divisible? Is the number in the ones column divisible by 2? Or another way you can look at it, is it an even number? So if I look at the ones column in the number 282, I see that the number in the ones column is 2. Is 2 divisible by 2? Yes, it is. So I know that this number is divisible by 2. Okay, and I'm going to put a little check mark here. Let's look at the next example, 2,244. The number in the ones column is a 4. Is 4 divisible by 2? In other words, is 4 an even number? Yes, it is. So I know that 2 goes into this number. Let's look at the last number, 11,115. The number in the ones column is a 5. Is 5 divisible by 2? No, it is not. Okay, so 2 does not work. Okay, so hopefully you were able to write down the rule, the divisibility rule for 2 in your own words. Okay, I'm going to change colors. Let's now look at 3. Are these numbers divisible by 3? Okay, so here's the rule. In order to determine if a number is divisible by 3, we add up all of the numbers and see if that number is divisible by 3. So let's break this down here. Okay, so I'm going to use green for this. So 2 plus 8 plus 2. Okay, I can do mental math. 2 plus 8 is 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. Okay, so I've added up all of the numbers in that number to get a sum of 12. Now, is 12 divisible by 3? In other words, if we divide that number by 3, do we get a whole number? Yes, we do. We get a whole number of 4. So that means that 282 is divisible by 3. Okay, now let's look at the next number, 2,244. So if we add up all of the numbers, we have 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 4. Okay, 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. So again, we have this magic number 12. Now let's say we had a number that it was too difficult to see if it was divisible by 3. Then what we can do is we can add these two numbers together. 1 plus 2 equals 3. Is 3 divisible by 3? Does it give you a whole number? Yes, it does. It gives us 1. Okay, so 2,244 is divisible by 3. All right, let's go to the next number, 11,115. We add up all the numbers, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 5. We get 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 5 is 9. Is 9 divisible by 3? Do we get a whole number? Yes, we do. So this number is divisible by 3. Okay, so does that make sense? Do you have a rule written down for the divisibility rule of 3? Okay, let's move on. I'm going to use purple for 4. Okay? Are these numbers divisible by 4? So the divisibility rule for 4 is we look at the last two digits. We look at the last two digits and see if they are divisible by 4. So if we take the last two digits, okay, and then we see, is it divisible by 4? All right, so here's where a calculator really comes in handy. So I'm going to type it in, 82 divided by 4 equals, and if we get a decimal number, that means that it does not divide equally or evenly. Okay, so in this case, this number is not divisible by 4. Okay, let's look at the next example. So the divisibility rule for 4 is we look at the last two numbers. The last two numbers are 44. Are the last two numbers divisible by 4? Well, 44 divided by 4, you can check it on your calculator, but 44 divided by 4 is actually 11. So this number is divisible by 4 because this is a whole number. All right, let's look at the last example. Let me just scroll down a little bit here. Okay, so again, the divisibility rule for 4 is we look at the last two numbers. The last two numbers in this number are 15. Are the last two numbers divisible by 4? Is 15 divisible by 4? No, it is not. So in terms of 4, this number is not divisible by 4. Okay? All right, so you've got the divisibility rule for 4 written down. Okay, let's go to the next one. 5 is a pretty easy one. I'm sure you already know it. So to determine whether a number is divisible by 5, we look at the last digit. So in this case, the last digit is 2. Well, if it is divisible by 5, it must end in a 0 or a 5. Is 2 a 0 or a 5? No, it is not. So this number is not divisible by 5. So we don't really need to write anything. Let's just look at the last number. Is 4 a 0 or a 5? No, it is not. So we know that that number is not divisible by 5. Now let's look at this number. The last number, we immediately identify that it is a 5. So we know that that number, this number, 11,115, is divisible by 5. Okay, that one was an easy one. Okay, so let's go to the divisibility rule for 6. Okay, so the divisibility rule for 6 is the number must be divisible by 2 and 3. So if we look at the number 282, is it divisible by 2? Yes, it is. Is it divisible by 3? Yes, it is. So we know that 6 works for 282. All right, let's go to the next number. 2,244. Is it divisible by 2 and 3? Yes, it is. So if it is divisible by 2 and 3, then it is also divisible by 6. Let's look at the last number, 1,115. Is it divisible by 2 and 3? Well, it's divisible by 3, but it's not divisible by 2. So that doesn't work. It has to be both of them, not one or the other. Okay, let's go on to the divisibility rule for 9. Let's see, which green did I use? Okay. So the divisibility of 9, the divisibility rule for 9, I apologize, is we add up all of the numbers, and if that number is divisible by 9, then the whole number is divisible by 9. So we added these numbers up already. 2 plus 8 plus 2 is 12. Okay? Is 12 divisible by 9? No, it is not. So 9 does not work for this number. Okay? We've taken the sum of this number. 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 4, where was it? It's right here. 12. Is 12 divisible by 9? No, we just had that in the previous example. So this number is not divisible by 9. And what is the sum of our last number? Our last number, the sum was 9. Is 9 divisible by 9? Yes, it is. Okay, so we know that this number, the last number, 11,115, is divisible by 9. So we'll put 9 and then we'll put a big check mark here. Okay, now the last rule. Let me use red. Okay, is the number divisible by 10? I'm sure you know this rule already. The rule is if the ones column has a 0 in it. So 282, the ones column is a 2. There is no 0 in it. So 10 is not a number that divides into 282. Let's look at 2,244. Is the last number, the ones column, a 0? No, it is not. So 10 will not work either. And finally, the last example, 11,115. The last digit, the digit in the ones column, is not a 0. So we know that 10 does not divide equally into that number. Okay, so if we were to write a therefore statement for each of these questions, therefore 282 is divisible by, and then let's see, 2, 3, and 6. Okay, so there's a nice therefore statement for each of these questions. Okay, so hopefully you've got the rules down. You've got them in your own words. You just need to memorize them. And you can continue on part 2, the practice section, on your divisibility rules note. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.